Well, good afternoon, Northaven family and friends, and welcome to this week's Northaven Voices. And today, I have the pleasure of visiting with Kendra Weddle, uh,
Yes.
who has been a member of Northaven for a while. And of course, due to COVID, we haven't been able to see much of anybody. So here we are, get to know Kendra today. So, hi, Kendra, how are you? And welcome.
Hi. It's great to see you. Thank you for inviting me to join you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about this.
I feel a little bit like I'm participating in an interview with Krista Tippett. So this is a lot of fun. You know her?
I don't know her. Who is she?
Sure. She interviews people about faith on
Oh,
TV or NPR. Maybe it's NPR.
oh, okay. Well, sweet.
Yeah.
I
So
love
it's
being
always a
compared
lot
to
of
something like NPR, right? So
fun.
that's great. That's great.
Yes.
Well, Kendra, why don't you tell Northaven about who you are, what you do, and why Northaven?
Okay, well, thank you. Well, yeah, my name is Kendra Weddle, as you said, and I am married to Brian Irons, and we live in Irving. And this is our second stint in Texas. A few years ago, we lived in Fort Worth for about 10 years, and we moved away to Oregon, and then we're back now and in Irving. And I don't know, a little bit about me, I guess, is I grew up in a United Methodist Church. Actually, Brian and I grew up in the same church.
Oh, really?
We're from the same small town in Kansas, a small town called Mineola, a population of about 750.
Wow.
Right. And like I said, we grew up in the same little United Methodist church in town. And so I have really, really fond memories of church. There were kind of two institutions in town. There was the school and the churches. There were four. And, I think we spent all of our time in one or the other.
Yeah.
We were either in school or in church. And so I have a lot of fond memories of things like, Sunday evening and the potluck dinners, where we were always excited to find out if Mildred had brought her coconut cream pie, or maybe if my great Aunt Merle had brought her cherry pie.
Yeah.
And of course, we all had our favorite casseroles. We knew who brought what. And so I have really fond memories of, meals with the church family. Also kind of gathering around the piano there in the fellowship hall and singing hymns. I've been in the church long enough that I'm one of the ones who grew up singing the good old hymns out of the red United Methodist hymnal.
Yep.
And church was always kind of a part of who I was.
Yeah.
So because of that, when I went off to school, I decided that I wanted to explore ministry in some facet. I didn't know what that might look like. I suppose had I had a woman as a pastor, I might have seen myself in that role, and that might have been the direction that I went. But without that, that kind of possibility wasn't really something I envisioned for myself. But I went to school and studied religion to kind of just see where that ended up taking me. And while I was an undergraduate student, I had the opportunity to interact with my professors. I went to a small private college, Friends University in Wichita, Kansas. And because of the relationships I had with my professors, I recognized the influence that a professor could have on a student. And they were very helpful to me, both in terms of kind of academic rigor, helping me understand things about the Bible that I didn't know before, learning about historical contexts. It's very important to actually understanding what it means. But they also were important to me spiritually. And so because of that, I decided that I could see myself being a university professor and using that as a way in which to be in ministry and kind of live out a calling of faith. And so that's how it is that I find myself teaching at Texas Wesleyan University in Fort Worth. And so I teach in the field of religious studies, which means I teach everything from the Bible to world religions, ethics, and kind of everything in between. And so, that's a little bit about me.
I love that. I love how your professors were such a mentor and an influence, and how you embraced that so much you wanted to give back in a similar way. So that's a beautiful story. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, they were really helpful for me, and they modeled for me, what it could be to be not only just a professor, but someone who, was willing to kind of share life with a student who's in that part of their journey. I can remember going in and sitting down, in Howard Macy's office or Richard Foster's office, and we'd just sit there and they'd talk with me and we'd explore kind of life questions together. Oh. And so I took that as my model. And so, I feel like that's one of the greatest gifts of teaching, has been that the students have really impacted me and influenced me. And so as I've opened my office door to them, they've really been the ones who have really been transformative for me.
Oh, sweet. But it also sounds very vulnerable too, to be able to sit there and open about life questions. Just,
Yes.
So it's like, what a brave thing to do, right? So.
That is
true. But how much growth is in that too. So it's just beautiful. So
absolutely. And of course, one of the great gifts then is that, I'm in touch with a lot of students, which means so much, not more than 3 or 4 days ago, I talked with one on the phone who's still in Oregon. And this morning I Zoomed with a student, and so it's just getting to have those kind of relationships and see my calling as something beyond the classroom.
And especially now at this time where we can't be together,
right?
You can embrace all of that, just
yeah.
Like the memories of the potluck and the relationship with the students and the relationship you had with your professors. So you can tap into that and connect in different ways. I love that. I was thinking about, because that's one thing I love at Northaven was when we did the potlucks, So,
yes.
I missed that.
Exactly.
So,
right. Yes, me too.
I'm thinking, okay, how can we have a virtual potluck and come together and do, and someone play the piano, we can pretend and
yes.
everybody just sing along, right? So
right. It's just not the same.
That might be an idea for a Connect initiative. So.
Right.
So, Kendra, what would you say? Do you have a Bible story or a verse that you that has impacted your life, or a mantra that you live from this experience?
Yeah, what a great question that is. One of the things that has been interesting for me is my journey with the Bible. When I was young and growing up in that United Methodist Church, I frequently led Bible studies. So kind of starting from maybe when I was in junior high and through high school, I was always kind of getting a group together and we'd have a Bible study. And then I recognized at that time that there were some challenges with the Bible that I didn't understand. I in many ways was drawn to it, and then in many ways was kind of frustrated with the limitations that I could see in it, especially as a girl growing into a woman. And many of those passages that seem to limit women's participation in the life of the church. And so those were challenging for me. And so for a long period of time, I had to kind of set the Bible aside as a document that would have anything to say to me beyond kind of academic study. So I could study it on that level, but on another level, it wouldn't be anything that I would go to for any kind of spiritual sustenance. There were too many barriers with it. And really, it was through reading Marcus Borg's book, Reading the Bible Again for the First Time, which I know so many Northaveners have read.
I have not read that yet, but I've read some of the other ones, and that's one that I have to read. Yes.
Yeah, it was a book that gave the Bible back to me over time. And so I appreciated that. And so over time, then I have learned to be able to use my imagination to step into the text and interrogate the story and find the ways in which the story can be meaningful and transformative. So I don't know. I have lots of ones I think I would gravitate to, largely stories about women. Those would be the ones that strike me the most. I'm interested in the intersection of faith and social justice, and it seems to me that one window into that is through women and other outsider groups in the Bible. And so it's for that reason, I think, why those stories seem to resonate with me. I would say, for example, one that I'm struck with is Hagar from the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. The thing that strikes me about her story is that, we always think about her in terms of Abraham and Sarah. And I think often we gravitate first to Abraham and Sarah, and it's only after a while, then we go, oh yeah, well, Hagar was part of this story too. And so I think, well, what happens if you look at the story and immediately pay attention to Hagar? And how that changes the way in which we understand the narrative. And one of the things that's been interesting to me in her story is that, I don't know about you, but when I was young, I was always taught that Moses was the first person who kind of had this experience with the divine, where the divine was revealed. At the burning bush, and Moses stops, and you hear this voice, coming out of the bush that's not being consumed. But actually, Hagar is the first. It's not Moses, it's Hagar, and it's when she's out in the desert and not knowing if she's going to live or if her son will live, as they're challenged with finding some water. And she ends up not only does she have this kind of experience with the divine, but she names the divine. Rather than the divine being revealed, she names God. And it's the God who sees.
Oh.
And I think what a beautiful story that says so much, because, you know, if we pay attention to her story, it's easy to recognize that she felt, I think, like she was not seen. You know, Abraham took advantage of her. Sarah took advantage of her. She was, you know, essentially enslaved to them, right? And yet she has this transformative experience in the desert of feeling seen by God. And yeah, so I think, yeah, that'll preach.
I think I could listen to you for a while. I think it's what a great, and how you described all of that and brought it to it. It just makes it was like I'm right there with you. But it's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I know you did do some. You taught spiritual journey class one time, right? The women in the Bible or something like that.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
I wasn't able to sit through the whole series, but I remember that it was about a 6-week thing or something.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So tell me, what are your joys?
That's great. Yeah, I love that. You know, one of the greatest joys I have is I adopted a chocolate Labrador Retriever a couple years ago, and
I want him.
Yeah, I'm telling you that what a great dog. And what had happened, I actually had a little yellow lab before that. And she had died unexpectedly when we were on vacation, and it just completely broke my heart. And I had the hardest time kind of healing from that loss. And so I decided to foster some dogs for a while to kind of maybe heal a little bit. And so as part of that, I ended up with this chocolate lab. And what I love about kind of the fostering and then adopting was that I got to see her through this process of feeling abandoned and scared, and you know, I'm sure she kind of felt unmoored and didn't know, you know, who she could trust. And when I first got her, she was not in shape at all, and so I'd take her out on a walk, and after 30 minutes, you know, she was clear behind me, you know, and I'm like having to slowly coax her. And so what brings me joy now is that now that I've had her, you know, she's in good shape, she gets good food, and I love going out and walking and watching her be light on her feet. And as she's just curious about the world around her, because when I first got her, she wasn't curious, you know. I think she was scared, she was traumatized. And so when we went on walks, she would just walk right behind me and didn't look anywhere, you know, just kind of plodded along. And I think, you know, that process of healing brought out her curiosity. So that brings me tremendous joy, just to watch her just kind of trot and love to see the world and smell, you know.
Like you brought her to the light out of the darkness. Yes.
Yeah, you know, and she of course healed me too.
I'm sorry.
And she of course healed me too.
Yeah, yes. Brought you out of the darkness too. It's like it
Yeah,
was meant to be. Wow.
yeah.
That's beautiful. I know I've seen pictures of her. I wonder. It's like I had a chocolate lab for years, and then
Oh, you did.
yeah, they're just heartbreaking when I had to let go of him, but it was just a wonderful journey with him too. But it's just like
Right.
experience, it's like we were buddies, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they mean so much, right?
Yeah.
I understand that. I named her Rue.
Rue,
Um,
okay.
yeah. Um, and I wanted to name her after a, well-known feminist, and so part of that's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and so shortened it to Rue. But also the um, Hebrew word for breath is ruach. And so in many ways, I feel like she kind of gave me new breath
Oh,
again. And of course I think about the story of Eve and Adam in the garden, and the breath of God, kind of what brings them alive. And so I wanted to kind of, recognize that in her, that she helped to kind of bring me back alive after, I had hurt so much from Pippi. So anyway, that's why I named her Rue. And so, yeah.
what a gorgeous story, Kendra. What a beautiful story. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It just makes me smile. It makes your heart feel so full. It's like how you could be there for her and she could be there for you. And, we're just this journey together as,
Right.
as y'all were getting to, as you were healing, as you say.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you and Brian do a lot of hiking. Is that right? Y'all are big hikers. Is that correct?
We love to hike. Now, we do like them to be day hikes. I think you all rough it a little more than we do. We kind of like to have a bed at the end of the day.
Yeah, we do the tent stuff. Yeah.
But yes, we do. We love to hike. And I think we learned about that when we lived in Oregon for about 6 years. And if you've not been to Oregon, it's just a stunningly beautiful place to hike. And the topography is just beautiful. And so while we were there, we became hikers.
Oh, yeah.
And so now, that's always kind of on our list of, if we're going somewhere, hiking has to be part of it.
I love it because it's just the whole nature thing and the hiking. I mean, we just went to Caddo Lake and it was just breathtaking. Oh. We camped out there in October for Tim's birthday, which was Halloween, and it was like God was everywhere. It was just so beautiful.
Right.
Just,
the
morning, the night.
I'm so glad you did that. It's a beautiful lake.
Yeah. It's good. I've been to Oregon, but it was when I was working with the military and I was in Portland. So that was about all I had. We need to go back and that's what we were talking about. Tim and I were like, what do we do? We need to start doing these road trips,
right.
Even after COVID's over, we need to go do these road trips, because we're so much enjoying just getting away. We went to Paladura Canyon and then the Caddo.
Yes. Yeah, and that's such a beautiful location too. And I love how it's a surprise.
Yes.
You don't know that you're driving along and you're out there in West Texas where, maybe you don't think there's much to see.
And there you
And then all of a sudden, there it is, and it breaks open in front of you. It's stunning.
It is. It is. We were there in August, so it was pretty hot, but to go back when it's a little cooler.
Yes.
The nights were nice. We did the tent thing there, but it was hot. So,
Yeah,
during the
I
day.
can
About
imagine.
108 or so. So,
Yeah, you should go back there now. I bet it's really nice.
yeah, I bet it would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, so I guess we need to kind of wrap it up here. So, how would you want to be remembered?
Oh, you ask really good questions.
Thank you.
I think it is this some kind of aspect of being a good and faithful friend, and someone who in some way is trying to mend the social injustices of the world, and to see that those things are connected, right? So that being a true friend has at its core mending the world in some small way. And yeah, I would hope that I'm contributing to that. Yeah.
Well, I believe just listening to you that you are contributing to it every day when you work with those students, and
That's sweet of you to say.
Just being present with them and helping them see and giving them permission to be okay where they are in questioning, and just that you were given. I think that's
Well, that's awfully kind of you to say. I appreciate that.
No, absolutely, yeah. Well, I am looking forward to the time when we can all come together again, and you were just, gosh, I want to continue to talk to you, just to learn some more, and so.
Well, likewise, I love this. It's great getting to interact with you, and I do look forward to being back in person as well.
Well, I hope you and Brian have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I think most of us are probably, in our homes.
Yes.
Doing our own thing. So we have to just share it the way we can and just wish the best for everyone. So
yeah, that's absolutely right. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving as well.
But we actually are going to go hiking.
So, are you? Where are you going?
Cedar, I forgot the name of it.
Ridge.
Yeah, Cedar Ridge. We're going to go out there.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to do that Thursday morning, and then come back and have our dinner. So.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's a great idea.
It's supposed to be a nice day, so we thought we'd get out and enjoy the nature a little bit.
Yeah, that's really great.
Thank you so much. You take good care, and tell Brian hello, and we will and keep posting that beautiful roof. So.
Okay. I will.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.